So we have this from the New York Times. Justice Department case against Google is said to focus on search dominance and then cascade from there. So there's this antitrust action that is coming down against Google in the coming weeks. Of course, as I said before, actually we've been covering this on this show for the past couple of weeks. We knew this was coming. We knew about the first reports of this. We covered this on this show. We didn't know what this was actually going to start out with, and now it has come out that it is said to focus on search dominance first and then cascade from there. And so one of the things that I argued was that they should, since we know this is not going to get done before the election. I mean, the election is less than, 60 days away now and just a few weeks away. And, of course, it's not going to be the case that they get this all done before the election and that all of a sudden, YouTube lets us back on and YouTube refrains from censoring people and Google refrains from censoring conservative news outlets and Facebook lets us back on and Instagram lets us back on and so on and so forth. We know that this is not going to happen. This is, if you're thinking this, you are sorely mistaken. This might take years if it ever does happen because there are lots of legal challenges to this. This is going to be held up in courts for a very long time. This is particularly the reason why they're starting out with search dominance, according to this New York Times report that we're going to go through next. And so what does Trump do in order to resolve this in the meantime? Well, Trump, for one, can prop up big tech on Parler. He has a Parler account. He hasn't really advertised this Parler account. Big tech right now is already threatening to shut Trump down on Election Day. We saw Facebook come out with a report. Twitter came out with a report, basically said that they would hinder Trump's ability to claim victory prior to all of the mail-in voting being counted, which could take weeks, if not months. They're basically admitting that they're going to shut down his ability to tweet, to shut down his ability to post on Facebook and Instagram after the election or on the day of the election. And so where are Trump's supporters going to get their information from Trump from? Well, Parler would be one big one. We can't expect him, of course, to promote Gab or to promote Telegram or one of these platforms or BitChute, where he also does have a presence. But we can expect him to promote Parler because he has sort of promoted Parler in the past. But this is something that he needs to do in a big way right before the election. He should come out and say that social media, big tech, is going to shut me down on Election Day. I will be posting over at Parler. In which case, we will see a flood, a massive transition that we have never seen before from Twitter to Parler. Liberal journalists will go over there. New York Times writers and Washington Post writers and CNN writers will go over there because they cannot live without Trump. Their ratings will fall to the floor without Trump. I don't think they know this yet. They don't want to admit it. We saw that Brian Stelter interview. He refused to admit this, but they will follow, and so will millions of his supporters. They will follow over to Parler. This will create a surge in Parler usership where censorship is lessened, and Trump will be able to post over there, propping up big tech. Now, what can we go from? Their BitChute links are allowed on Parler. They're not suppressed like they are on Twitter. On Facebook, you can't even post a BitChute link. And so from there, we'll see a transfer from Parler to possibly other big tech sites like BitChute or something, just with the sheer number of people that will flow over there, and see the post on Parler, which is majorly dominated by the Republican sphere right now. This is something that Trump could do in the meantime while this all gets sorted out. So we'll read a little bit from this New York Times article. It says, Justice Department case against Google is said to focus on search dominance. The decision to narrow the case to search could set off separate lawsuits from the states over Google's power in other business segments. It says the Department of Justice's impending lawsuit against Google has narrowed to focus on the company's power over internet search, a decision that could set off a cascade of separate lawsuits from states in ensuing weeks over the Silicon Valley giant's dominance in other business segments. They have been caught many times before pushing down conservative news results. Many times before. And actually, right now, they're doing this. We know that Google's doing this. If we look at YouTube, for instance, it is very impossible to find the video that you're looking for on YouTube. We've searched this up in the past. Like, even if you search for the exact video name from the exact user, you put that name in the search bar, you're not going to be able to find that. The only thing that's going to pop up, like if we just look at Donald Trump, immigration, the only thing that's going to pop up is mainstream news outlets. This is something they did a very long time ago in order to prevent the next Trump situation, which is something that a Google executive literally said verbatim on a secretly recorded video, a secret recording. They did this on purpose. They're doing this on YouTube. They're pushing us off of YouTube. They're banning us from YouTube. They're suppressing our reach on YouTube. They're making sure that we can't get heard. They're making sure that you cannot find the exact video that you're looking for and that only authoritative news sources pop up in the search feed. And on Google, they're doing the same thing. Even if you type in the exact article title that you're looking for, and the reason why I know this is because I have been doing research for years and years and years, preparing for shows for years and years and years, and I have to search for articles that I have seen because I remember the headline, and I search the exact headline. Sometimes I even put in Daily Caller or Daily Wire or Daily Mail or one of these, news sites that are considered, ostensibly conservative, and I can't find the article. The things that pop up are CNN, New York Times, completely unrelated results. But this is something that they have been caught doing in the past. Studies have proven this. And so the search dominance is a good way to start this out. It says in presentations to states' attorneys generally starting on Wednesday, to states' attorney generals starting on Wednesday, the department is expected to outline its legal case centered on how Google uses its dominant search engine to harm rivals and consumers, said 4 people with knowledge of the plan, who spoke on the condition of anonymity because the details were confidential. Meeting with the state's attorneys, state attorney generals, is one of the final steps before the department files its suit against the company, they said. The Justice Department's action against Google is set to be narrower than what some states and several career lawyers in the department had envisioned. The department also investigated Google's reach and ad technology and how the company prices and places ads across the internet. But in an effort to file a case by the end of September, the agency decided to pick the piece that was furthest along in legal theory and that it felt could best withstand a potential challenge in court. The department has not written the final draft on its complaint against Google, and the document is expected to change over the next few days to reflect internal deliberations and input from constituents like the state attorneys general. Suing Google would fulfill a push by Attorney General William Barr to take action against a tech giant around the end of September in an effort that has taken on greater urgency ahead of the November 3rd election as President Trump fights for a second term. So this is the extent of the main idea behind this New York Times article here. Very brief news from the Washington Times. The Democrats are introducing a Supreme Court term limits bill. Surprising. Shocker there. I wonder why all of a sudden they want to introduce a Supreme Court term limits bill. My goal is to eventually become a powerhouse of truth. That is why it is imperative that you check the links in the description below and go to either Patreon and Subscribestar and support us for at least the cost of a cup of coffee a month. We already have writers writing for theredelephants.com, but we'd like to bring on more in the near future. By the way, at theredelephants.com, you can also find t-shirts, hats, and other products. Check the links in the description below. It helps us out tremendously.